gives me a privilege and honor for me to open this event.
Let's be proud of what the people of Somaliland have achieved against all the odds. We need to recognise the political realities on the ground.
When Britain fought a war for justice, our sons fought alongside them. My grandfather fought alongside them and was decorated for services to the Crown. My father fought alongside Britain and was decorated British Empire Medal for services to the Crown. And today we look for Britain to fight alongside us, to give us the justice that we have a right to have.
Now is the time that actually the British government needs to do more. We need to recognise the political realities on the ground. Let's not pretend there is a Somalia that is being governed from Mogadishu that reaches right across the Horn of Africa, but recognising the political reality. The political reality that you have a democratic government that is a safe place for people to be able to go to work, to be able to practice their religion, to get an education.
We have a lot of potential here that could be developed in our country, but nevertheless, we are a very stable country. You know what's happening around nowadays around Somaliland, how turbulent and vital the situation is in our neighboring country, how Somalia is in turmoil, and we were able to explain to the world that with our poor economy, we were able to pay for our elections.
Now tell me, how many African countries have rebuilt their country without any outside help?
With our poor economy, we were able to spend 30% of our national budget in security. And that's why we're peaceful today. That's why we can sleep today, but Mogadishu cannot sleep today. As you know, we have had a very fair and free election. The last one, it was a dual election of the parliamentary and also the local government. The opposition party has won the majority of seats in the local and parliamentary seats. That makes us a country where the rule of law works. A country that has a lot of future. A country that's resourceful, a country that's open for business now and open all the time, a country that welcomes opportunities, investments. Unlike other countries, we have open market, we have free business and free port and free zone.
I assure you that in the parliament we will carry on fighting for and give maximum support on the parliamentary behalf. And I hope that the minister and the High Commissioner will take that message.
I'm a great believer in the right of self-determination and the right of peoples and nations to decide their own future. And it may be inconvenient for some countries, it may be inconvenient for the African Union. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the right of individuals and individual countries to decide their own way forward, and that should be respected by other nations, no matter how inconvenient it may be for them. And I particularly want to say I admire the commitment that you've made to democracy, to justice, and to building from what clearly was a very, very difficult base.
Let's be proud of what the people of Somaliland have achieved against all the odds. And that is what we're going to do. And let's go out there and support it.
Well, whilst working with the ambassador here, the ambassador has created a fantastic program where he has connected every single city of the UK, having a satellite representative in every city. So from the diaspora point of view, the coordination that we have done so far has helped us to respond to the COVID-19 campaign, where we got a laboratory that we sent to Somaliland to combat the challenges facing our Somalilanders back home. Some of the things that we have done is send graduates, the doctor graduates in Somaliland, a bag, a doctor's bag, valued at £30,000.
We've got a lot of work to do, I'm afraid. We're not going to stop here. But inshallah, with the educated Somalilanders, young people graduating year after year, with professional coming forward, creativity coming forward, we've still got a lot of love to give.
First, I would say, whether it's the development of Somaliland, whether it's the recognition of Somaliland, it has to come from us. When we do something for ourselves, the rest will follow us. We have to recognize each other, and we have to know for sure that your children, and our great-grandchildren will remember that day.
I'm a new member of parliament, and I'm foreign committee of the parliament, and I was here for quite some time, and I've visited onto our embassy, and I'm very proud of the job they're doing for the country.
I know the story in 1960, how it was initially independent for a few days and recognized by several countries, and there's a legal argument to be made there. To me, that's important, but it's not as important as what happened on May 31st, when such an election took place, when that sick man got out of bed to come and vote. That says so much about how important democracy is to Somaliland. And to me, that is by far the most important thing that the world needs to recognize. As I said, it's a good news story. We're short on good news around the world at the moment. So while I think Somaliland needs the world needs Somaliland maybe as much or more than, it's just so important. And so that's why I think that Somaliland should be recognized, because we need it to be recognized. We need to set the precedent that democracy is important, and that if a country can come together, as Somaliland has done, it deserves to be recognized.
Why should I invest in Somaliland? And I think the answer will be, Somaliland is one of the fast-growing, developing countries, thanks to its security, democracy, and political stability in the Horn of Africa. We can summarize the following points which make it attractive and encouraging to invest on its land and its economy. Security and political stability in the country, strategic location, connecting Asia and Europe and to the Africa. Starting business is easy and people are very friendly. Are they not? Untapped investment opportunities. Somaliland is a gateway to a number of landlocked countries, such as Ethiopia, with a market of over 100 million people. Our mainstay, as you all know, is livestock. Livestock's rearing remains the backbone of Somaliland's domestic production.
The monetary stability of the economy, it's pillared on our money supply, as we all know. There are macroprudential regulations that the central bank must introduce in order for our banking system to gain confidence, and more importantly, for the foreign banks to see that there is a viable system that they can invest in Somaliland. Finally, we always talk about recognition. And for me, I mean, I'm not a politician. There's obviously very well delegates and high delegates here. But from a sense of recognition, there is a rule of common economic interest. Without building common economic interest amongst the international community, then for me, the level of recognition is very limited. And by that, common recognition will only come if the central bank drives the economic stability of the country.
I'm an international trade negotiator for the UK government, where I've spent over 4 years negotiating and developing international trade and investment agreements. Aside from that, I work very closely with the government of Somaliland to support them on building capabilities around international trade and investment. I thought it would be helpful to really just touch on the opportunities to invest in Somaliland. and why that's quite linked to international recognition. As my dear colleague said, Somaliland, its 850-kilometer coastline, its strategic location next to the Suez Canal, which handles over 12% of world trade, and the abundance of untapped resources. Now, why is that? One might ask, why is that so important to international recognition? What I say is, I think what we need to ask ourselves is, what can Somaliland offer the world, and how we can then use that as a pillar or a hook onto international recognition. My colleague spoke about mutual economic interests. I think Somaliland has enormous potential for shared interests with regional partners and also the international community.
All these countries, they know Somaliland's case, they know the history, they know the stability and the peace. What will really make the difference is from a self-interest perspective. Can we trade with you? Can we do business with you? Can Berbera and Hargeisa be the corridor that connects to 100 million population in Ethiopia? And that's really, really powerful. So Somaliland, to give you a statistic, imported $20 billion worth of goods over the past 20 years or so. That's a really, really big economic opportunity. And using points like that, it's really key to showcase that opportunity of investment, showcase the opportunity for trade, and that hopefully just gives you a flavour of some of the key things that people are looking at when they now talk about Somaliland.
Tonight, the element of surprise is I have here Diane. She was born in Somaliland. And her father, before I make the introduction, the element of surprise is her father was called Jeremy Rofi. He was a doctor, a locust doctor in Somaliland in 1960s. And Diane, with her mother, which we've got the photos here, which we're going to share with you in a minute, and her mother is still alive, and her mother lives in Surrey. And she was born, and Diane was born in Hargeisa. Both her mom and dad lived in Hargeisa in the 1960s. And you are the midwife. So the element of surprise is Diane was born and brought up in Somaliland during her childhood, and she always wanted to meet Dr. Edna Aden, and tonight I think was the moment of element of surprise.
Hello everybody and all these eminent people. I'm quite nervous. I feel quite emotional. I cannot tell you how touched I am to be here and to have the opportunity to see Edna and all these wonderful people here.
Right Honourable and Excellence and dedicated individuals, thank you very much for attending tonight.